Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to begin this with a question. And the question is, how many of you, by show of hands, watched Doraemon cartoon? Glad to see that. Now, how many of you really wished you had that magical pocket he used to carry around on his stomach? I'm also the one. When I was small, I was really fascinated by gadgets. Gadgets that can help me to move forward in time, just like a time machine. I used to think that it is possible to correct your mistakes and peep into your future and say hello to your future self. When I grew up and learned that everything does not happen according to our ways, I was disappointed. Not because whatever I saw was wrong or unrealistic, but because it was mere a thought, some set of ideas or a hypothesis that does not guarantee stuff like time travel to be true. This inspired me to go down deeper into the field. I read books, I talked to my friends, and did a couple of things too. Gradually, I understood what the missing piece was. My fascination grew more when I learned that Stephen Hawking, the famous British physicist, hosted a party for time travelers. Can you imagine that? In 2009. And the twist was that he sent out the invitations a year later. Apparently, no guests showed up. So, I think we should understand what is time travel. So, if I describe time travel, I'll say time travel basically means traveling forward or backward in time. According to many scientists in the field, traveling backward in time doesn't seem right. Just think about it. Time is always ticking, which means that we all are time traveling in a forward direction without having any idea. Yes, we all are time traveling, and our speed is 1 second per second. That means we can assume time to be distance in some sense. What are the ways to do time travel? How can we do time travel? So the first and the most popular way to do time travel is to go really fast. Imagine this. You are sitting on a spaceship somewhere in space, and that spaceship is moving forward with the speed close to the speed of light. For that very moment, time slows down for you relative to outside world. Now, this isn't just a theory or a thought experiment. It's been measured. Physicists have demonstrated that a flying clock ticks slower due to its speed compared to a stationary clock. By doing an experiment where they had flown one clock in jet aircraft around the world while the other being stationary on Earth. However, there is a problem. And the problem is traveling at the speed of light, that is 299,792,458 meters per second, is impossible at our level. It's possible at quantum level, but we are talking about time travel at our level, not quantum level. So for now, this idea fails for us. So, do we have any other idea? Of course, we do have. We can also do time travel by slowing our perception of time. Now, what does that mean? That means you slow down all your bodily processes and you restart them later. Is it really possible? I'll tell you an example. Bacterial spores can live in suspended animation for millions of years until the right conditions for temperature, food, and moisture restart their metabolism. Some mammals, like bears and squirrels, can slow down their metabolism during hibernation, reducing their cells' need for food and oxygen dramatically. The question is, could human beings ever achieve the same fate? Well, if you talk about that, our scientists are really working hard and we hope to get better results in the future. Now, when I talk about time travel and stuff related to it, how can we forget the man who was famously called genius? I hope you all are thinking right. I'm talking about Albert Einstein. He also inspired one method to do time travel, and that is using gravity. Now, someone gonna ask, how can we do time travel using gravity? Well, we can do. The more the strength of gravity, the slower the time moves. As you get closer to the center of Earth, the strength of gravity increases. Your feet move at slower pace than your head. Now, this was also quantified in the year 2010 when physicists demonstrated that there are two clocks, atomic clocks, placed 33 centimeters apart on a cell. Now, the observation was that the lower clock ticked slower because it was subjected to slightly more gravity. Now, the question is, then how can we do time travel using gravity? Talk about humans. Well, to do time travel using gravity, we need to have a strong gravity, and that would be near black hole. But traveling and going towards the black hole would be a dangerous because if you cross the event horizon, that is the boundary, you would never be gonna come back, and that becomes a problem. And this effect was also shown in the movie Interstellar. Now, our human mind is very notorious. And somewhere inside our mind, this puzzling idea comes into picture. That, okay, I have time machine and I'm in the future. Now, what if I go back in time and prevent the meeting of my biological grandfather to my grandmother? Now, if my biological grandfather has never met my grandmother, they both did not get married. That means my father was never born. So do I. Now, I don't exist anymore. Who was the person who traveled back in time and prevented the meeting of his biological grandfather to his grandmother? That might be confusing, right? Paradoxes like that have many opinions, and some reveal the truth too. As a science community, we respect all the opinions. Now, just like a coin, everything has two sides. Time travel also has two sides. And but we humans always talk about the positive one. That time travel is possible someday. But what if time travel is never possible? This is also a possibility. The other side of time travel that few humans don't want to see or believe yet. And hence we have paradoxes and no future visitors yet. Looking at the current situation, time travel is not possible. So don't be sad. I'm telling you something. If we able to nurture our brain with a variety of knowledge and maybe in the future we get to understand somehow this time travel is stuff and we are able to do time travel, this would be a big scientific breakthrough and it would change everything, literally everything. Thank you.